Everybody got a podcast. Everybody is a critic, but nobody will admit it. Everybody going live now. Everybody want it right now. Click the link up in the bio. Everybody got a new line. Everybody is offended. Give a fuck in your opinion. Everybody got
funny and not so much funny, maybe fortuitous or serendipitous that we actually got you on. I think this all started with the other day. I messaged him. I'm like, I just watched this HBO doc that was so fucking good, and we talked for quite a while about it. And I mean, there's so much to talk about when it comes to the Woodstock saga, but like the one thing we did talk a lot about is just that particular part of the 90s. Like, I love music from the 60s to 70s. Like, I like music. To me is timeless, man. All music is relevant if it speaks to you, just like you were saying. But something about that period of that early to mid 90s, man, like just everything felt like a home run, and it was all different types of music, man.
Yeah, and like that's really a great way to say that. Everything felt like a home run. These are classic records that were coming out. Boom, 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 boom. And we got to experience it as it was new. At like, I mean, I'm really thankful for that, man.
I want to hear everything you have to say about it, but I'm curious, in your opinion, as somebody who was at Woodstock 94 and Woodstock 99, do you have a view as to what happened over the course of those years? Not just with the show itself, but like the vibe of the people, the audience, the music, because you watching that documentary, you see the acts at Woodstock 94 and how it was just, even people were swimming through shit. It didn't matter. They were so fucking happy to be there and experiencing that. And then a couple years later, you go to 99 and it's like, yeah, Limp Bizkit and Korn and all that and have their place in time. I'm not knocking any of that kind of music, but there definitely was a tonal shift in not just music, but like the way people, it seemed like people felt. And I'm wondering what you thought, if you have a view as to like what maybe caused that, or if you were, as somebody who was there.
Of course. I've been telling the story of Woodstock 99 for years, because it was like, Moby talks about it in the documentary. Like, when you play venues for a living, you do have this kind of sixth sense about an energy. And I already possessed that at that time. I was 19. I had already been on a major label, played hundreds of shows, if not thousands. I mean, I've been doing this professionally since I was 11 years old. I played Woodstock 94 on the main stage. I was 14 years old. It was the biggest stage ever built. Michael Lang was our manager. Like, we played at Woodstock 94 on the main stage. 99, I went to, the simplest way that I could like kind of articulate it is, in 94, people were happy to kind of adopt the ethos of the 60s, or at least what they perceived to be. Because in that documentary, they shed some light on the 69 festival. It wasn't all hunky-dory. I mean, right. It was fucking chaos, but the greater energy prevailed, and that was one of love and peace. And in 94, here I am, 14 years old, I'm backstage, I'm on Primus's bus asking if fucking Primus is home. I'm having the time of my life. Everyone was in a good mood. Everyone was flashing peace signs, and the crowd backstage, front of house, everyone seemed willing and excited to adopt that energy from the 60s, or what they perceived it to be. And it was happy. It was peace, peace, peace. Now, don't get me wrong. In 94, the concert goers destroyed the town. I mean, destroyed the town. Windows broken at the shopping center. People, it wasn't, whenever you get together 400, 500,000 people, some shit's going to happen, but nothing like in 99. There was this growing kind of feeling after the Woodstock 94 festival that it was overly corporate, right? It was like, oh, Pepsi and fucking, McDonald's and get your Big Mac with a peace sign on it. It's like just, and I think in 99, it was 25 years hadn't passed, 25 years of building up the kind of lore and like what it was about. No, it was 5 years later, and they were cashing in again. But I don't know why, and I don't know. I think if we're going to call into question bands like Korn and Limp Bizkit, then I think we've got to call in question like the culturally music as a whole. I mean, with songs like, there was like a deep misogyny in rap music from the West Coast. I mean, if I just recite the lyrics from one of my favorite rappers, Corrupt, it's horrifying. If she fucks me, she's got to fuck my friends. She's just a bitch. Kick her out. Fucking slut. It's like, now, there was and that when you say it, you're missing all of the kind of playfulness of it. But dude, it's a lot. I think culturally, there's a lot to call into question. I don't think it all falls on Korn and Limp Bizkit. Limp Bizkit went up and did what Limp Bizkit did. If I was Fred Durst, well, that's not true. I might have said, "Hey, we take care of each other out there,"
right?
You know, because it can be hard, it can be brutal without being stupid, and it got stupid. And what I noticed as a concert goer, I didn't play '99. I was there in the audience. Is that it was a giant spring break party with a bunch of guys that were just cooler than me. Everybody had a six-pack. Everybody had sunglasses on. And it was MTV's like spring break. And no matter what age I was, you couldn't pay me to go to MTV's spring break. Like, that's like my version of hell. When I die and go to hell, that's where I'm at. I'm at MTV's spring break. And that's what it was. Gone was all of like the Woodstockness, for lack of a better term. And I don't think, dude, the acts were all over the place. They had Moby, they had Sheryl Crow, they had Jewel. Like, it wasn't just all heavy bands. And how many festivals have we had that are tons of heavy bands where it doesn't turn into that? Too many to count, too many to name. So I just don't know the answer. I know I can only speak as to my experience in like the first day there. And somebody says it in that documentary, 6 hours in, we knew there was a problem. You could feel it. You could feel it. This was, rage. And that rage I grew up in. I was a part of that. But even at 19 years old, a stupid punk kid, I knew that this was scary. I knew that this was, I remember watching Limp Bizkit and watching that many hundreds of thousands of people, and it was awesome. Don't get it twisted. It was awesome. But it was like the scope of it. You could feel, man, one left turn, this thing could get scary. And sure enough, the next day it fucking did. But you could feel it all day Sunday coming. And my friends got up. My friends were like, well, pussy. Because I was like, yo, we have to go. We have to go. This is getting out of control. When I saw 65 shirtless, like kind of frat dudes chucking things into a crowd of people that aren't watching. They found they broke into an 18-wheeler and found sealed gallon jugs of water. And I remember this, Bob and Doug. I remember thinking, oh, shit, they're going to give out water. Maybe those guys aren't so bad. But that's not what they did. They're on top of an 18-wheeler trailer. So if you can imagine, that's high up. And they're throwing as far as they can these gallon jugs of water into crowds of people walking, not looking at them. That hits the back of somebody's neck, dude. They're dead. You could kill somebody. Not a care in the world. Laughing, cheering, and I was like, yo, these people, this is in the afternoon. The fires and all that didn't start till later, but it was already palpable. It was there, and yeah, I made my friends leave. Luckily, everybody was tired enough. They were like, fuck it, let's go. But thank God, and as we go home, we can turn on MTV and see the fires and see that, like, they helicoptered out. I have nothing but, like, the warmest memories of Woodstock 94. What an incredible experience, and I would never speak bad about Michael Lang or his lovely daughters, who like were just queens to me growing up. Like, I had the biggest crushes on them, and they're to this day we're friends. We're friends to this day. They're people I care about. If they ever needed me, if they're ever in trouble, I'd be there in a heartbeat. I love these women. I love them. So I'm not speaking like specifically bad about Michael Lang. I thought Michael Lang came off a lot better than his partner in that.
Yeah, his partner did not come off well at all.
Oh, dude, what the fuck was that guy thinking?
There was only 10 rapes.
That's
like,
proof,
whoa, bro, what are you saying?
It's insane to pass the blame, fucking blame onto. And I don't know that guy. I've never met that guy. If I did, I was 14 years. I don't know that dude. I just hope for his own humanity that just came out really wrong, because that sounded. I couldn't believe I had to rewind it, dude. I was like, what?
I did the same thing. I was like, what the fuck did he just say? Looking back on it, looking at the way they scheduled that night, they couldn't have possibly scheduled it any worse. You had Korn, then you had Limp Bizkit, who had started shit getting worse. Then it went to Rage Against the Machine. Then it went to Metallica. I mean, you're just amping up the anger at every fucking next level. You know what I mean?
Yeah, dude, I thought Korn played on the night before.
They may have.
Limp Bizkit, Rage, Metallica.
Yeah,
I mean, dude, when Michael Lang said, like, we wanted to put on a contemporary show, like, I feel It was a contemporary
that was
show.
contemporary.
For that time.
Perhaps the other guy, like, when he said, I didn't expect Fred Durst to start a riot. Dude, all the bad shit didn't happen till the next day.
Yeah.
Right.
Like, yes, there was bad shit going on, but MTV didn't helicopter out Saturday night. They got out of there Sunday, and it was like, I think that guy's, dude, his whole energy has been about defending this, and I do think he's blinded by, you have to accept some responsibility and say, God, that was a long time ago. We've learned a lot since then. They tried to do a Woodstock 50, and it was supposed to be huge. Tons of big bands were signed on, and then the money fell through, and I wrote Michael Lang a letter saying that I thought Coheed should be part of it. I mean, what other bands straight from Woodstock in this day and age have had the success we've had? You're going to have a fucking Woodstock concert without us on it? And apparently he was, so that was nice. He never even wrote me back, but Coheed is like that. People don't like Coheed. It's funny, man.
I like Coheed. I it's not an individual thing, but as somebody who fell in love with you guys from the beginning, and this is not you. I don't want you to feel like I'm shitting on or anything like that. But like it definitely.
You could shit all over it. I could care less, honestly, and I mean that in a good way.
It's just a different band than the one that I fell in love with. It really is, and it's not anybody's doing. I just always chalked it up to that's the evolution of music. Of when you start to gain fans, and that like you're bound to try different shit. Like it's just.
Well, what records were your favorite records?
I love Second Stage Turbine Blade, and I love In Keeping Secrets, but I love. And this is not me blowing you, but I genuinely love your drumming on Good Apollo 1. Like, Good Apollo Volume 1 may be, to me, one of the most perfect, just fucking hard-in-your-face records, dude. I love that album.
Those are three completely different records, dude.
Yeah.
Second Stage Turbine Blade, there's not a guitar solo on it. Like, it's kind of very scene-specific.
Mm-hmm.
That's my favorite one, honestly. Second Stage Turbine Blade is my favorite one. When it all is boiled down. In Keeping Secrets, before it came out, I thought we just ruined everything. I was like, God, this is not good. Man.
Wow.
Like, I just was so worried, and I was wrong. I liked it. That's what scared me. I liked it. I meant not good, like the people are not going to like this. It's too much of a left turn. And shows what I know, right? Good Apollo was the record where I was like, oh, we did it. This is it. We fucking did it. This shit's about to pop off. And it did. And then, bands change and turn. And guess what? It's not always the direction I want to go either, my friend. Being in a band, you're not really in a band, at least in my experience. It's, I get to play the drums and play what I want sometimes. But I'm basically there to, like, get told what to do a lot. It's not, like, very fulfilling in any kind of way anymore. And, like, that's part of being in a band. Like as a writer and whatnot, but like that started already on Good Apollo. Like Claudio had all the songs. Now, the difference being like back then, I think nobody played to appease another member in the band. It was about the fans. I think for all of us, it was about wait till the fans hear this. And that's really changed. But I think, I do think there's an evolution. And I do somebody said this to me the other day. They were talking about the single. And they had some less than nice things to say about it. And they work in this business. They're part of this business. And they said, dude, the fact that Claudio can even write a song like that after doing this for so long speaks to what a great talent he is. Because, dude, he has said and done a lot of shit. And the fact that he can write look at me on Weerd Science. I'm like, I'm just done. I don't have any more. And this motherfucker keeps churning out stuff. I think that in and of itself deserves a lot of credit and a lot of respect. I think we'll see, but being in a band isn't what I thought it was when I was a kid. I'll tell you that for sure. I mean, I think we all did. I think we thought it was one thing, and it could be, but in this case, it's not. And even with all that said, I'm a lucky son of a bitch to have a job with a band and to make a living. Like, because I know a lot of people that are really talented that don't get to make a living. And, you can't, nothing's perfect, man. Like, when I am frustrated, I say, hey, man, you make a living playing the drums. I'm a lucky, lucky, lucky motherfucker, man.
Wasn't it in Second Stage liner notes that you thanked your third grade teacher for saying you'd never be able to make a living at drumming or something like that?
Yeah, Bob, in third grade, my teacher was like, you're never going to make... I've never heard somebody fuck up a story more in my life. Jesus Christ.
Best guest ever.
Third grade. Mrs. Tribble was like, No, it was fucking 10th grade.
I don't know, dude.
My guidance counselor was on In Keeping Secrets. Hey, that right there, though. Like, that right there is a great example. On In Keeping Secrets, the band did liner notes. We were able to have thank yous. Like, it belonged to me and Travis and Mike enough to have thank yous. We haven't had thank yous on a record since. Like, it's like, little things like that are just some of the stuff that you get used to when being in a band. And I think it's like that with all professional bands. I think, like, there has to be a leader. We can't have 4 guys in there. But I think the point is like Coheed doesn't always go the direction I want either. But like, what if Coheed went the direction I wanted all those years ago? We'd never have In Keeping Secrets. Right. We'd never have Good Apollo because we wouldn't have In Keeping Secrets. So I put my trust in Claudio. Even if it's a direction where I'm like, I don't know about this, man. But I have a lot of faith in him.
It's so interesting to me because like AFI, I think is a good comparison because AFI changes their sound literally every album. It's like Madonna changing her look every album, if you know what I mean. And people are shitting all over the new AFI album. And I'm like, so many people are shitting on it. I'm like, dude, they're not going to sound like they did in 1999. They haven't sounded like that since 2000.
Yeah, dude, that's what I'm saying. It's like Claudio, at the end of the day, like we get in our battles and all this, but dude is my friend, and I respect that it has to be creatively relevant for him. And like, as much as I wish we'd make another Good Apollo, and like he just said something in an interview that really resonated with me. He said, I think bands that have been around as long as us have a tendency to just want to please the fans. I'm guilty of that. I know what kind of record that I want to hear as a fan of Coheed and Cambria. And I thought we came close with Vaxis. I did. I was, I thought Vaxis 1 was like really in the ballpark. I mean, it was a Coheed and Cambria record. It was rocking, but like I can't expect the leader of the band to just do what I want all the time. So I'd follow Claude pretty much anywhere. Like, I mean, I guess there's some exceptions, like, but I would follow him pretty much anywhere. Talking about being fulfilling. I'm talking about for people in all bands. Like, it's not what you thought it was when you were a kid. Business gets involved. Any band that has any success, you are a businessman. You are part of a business that probably generates tens of millions of dollars. It's not fulfilling in the way that you thought it was when you sat in your garage.
When it's just artistically fulfilling, it's not the same.
It's a different thing.
I remember seeing you. We were on a Disney property, and you had to cover up the Weerd Science lyrics on the back of Cindy's shirt. You remember that? Where it said, fuck you and your filthy A&R?
That was the same day that we ran, wasn't it?
Right. But then that same night, you guys weren't allowed to sell the Iron Fist shirts because Disney didn't want goddamn on any merch that night. And I'm like, what? I did not know that a venue could control what merch you sold. I had no idea it worked that way.
And then they take fucking 30% of the money.
Yeah, and I found that out later on, too. I didn't realize they got a huge percentage of the merch.
And people wonder why, like, things cost so much, and it's like, we're barely breaking even though we sell fucking $60,000 worth of merchandise. It's like, yeah, this is what I mean about being a business. And, like, I will say, Coheed and Cambria has always, thought about the fans first. Like that cruise, for years they've been trying to get us to do a cruise, and we kept saying not until we can get, I know it was still expensive, but not the numbers that people were throwing out at first. Like, we just aren't comfortable with trying to, it's like if we're charging for a package, I know people complain about the prices a lot, but I think if they had a real world idea of what it costs, like, like Coheed's a funny band, dude. Like, a lot of people kind of don't get it. A lot of, like, people in the business, people in other bands, like, they kind of scoff at it, or just like they scoff at ICP, or just like they scoff at whatever, plug in another, like, cultish band that, like, exists within this, like, cult, and, like, in a way, it's a badge of honor to Mars. Are they still a band?
Like that band? Really?
People love that band, and I want to say it was 2 years ago. They have a thing called Mars Island. Picture your cruise, but they bring everyone to an island and they just sit together and hang out and do all this shit.
It's awesome.
Well, at one point, you know how he tends to look like Jesus?
Yeah.
So he had everyone dressed in all white, and they started trending with, yes, we are a cult, just to get more people to notice who they were. That's an interesting way to get it out there virally, is just call yourself a fucking cult. And it got retweeted millions of fucking times.
Yeah, I mean, I played with them at a place in it's in Pennsylvania. Where the hell? Maybe Allentown.
Okay.
This bar, but it holds like 1,200 people. This is like a sea market tour for them, and this is when they were doing. So maybe like 2010 when they were doing the 30 Seconds to Mars Army, and wherever they'd show up and play, their symbol was spray painted by fans all over the road, the sides of the buildings. Like, I'm surprised they didn't get in trouble for this shit. And then when the band comes out, the entire crowd, I never saw anything like it, stands at attention in like single file lines. And I just didn't realize like the depth of their cultishness. And it was really quite a scene. And they fucking rocked. Dude, I just thought Jared was doing his acting thing more. I haven't heard much about the band, but I'm 41 and old now. I don't know anything.
Right.
So.
It's kind of fascinating to me. Like, I remember a couple years ago, you guys got to play with Primus and Tool on Halloween night. It was the only Tool show that year.
Yeah.
And I remember thinking, I wonder what that's like backstage. You know, do you meet those guys? Do you hang out with any of those guys? I don't know how the inner workings work with that kind of shit.
Well, sometimes you do. Like, sometimes you do, sometimes you don't. What I recall from that that show was trying to meet Tool, but like, they show up 5 minutes before they go on stage, and I would too if I was them, dude. Like, listen, they're fucking Tool. They're royalty. They can do whatever they want. But so that's not a knock on them. I didn't get a chance to, Danny walked by and I was going to say something, but I got too nervous. But getting to watch their show was incredible. And I feel lucky just to do that, So, but I didn't get a chance to meet them.
I remember you telling me how amazing Guns N' Roses was live. I'm fucking with it.
Yeah.
You were like, it was one of the worst things I've ever seen.
That one show was pretty bad, but like people that had seen them, it's like me, Chino, Travis, like a bunch of dudes from bands standing in the soundboard watching, and like I don't know Chino, but like I'm such a huge fan, like. He doesn't know who I am. He's not telling that story like, yeah, it was Josh from Coheed. Like, he doesn't know who I am. So, but it was cool that he's standing right there. And we were watching, and a bunch of people were talking about how they just saw Guns N' Roses and how they slayed it. But, like, it was a festival show. And I can speak from experience. Playing festivals is hard. There's no sound check. And even if there is one, it's at 11 a.m. and you're playing at 9 p.m. It's completely different once you get people in there. Shit goes haywire on festivals all the time because there isn't a sound check. You don't get to iron out anything. Festivals are hard. And that show in particular probably wasn't the best offering from Guns N' Roses. I think they might, even say the same thing. But I love Guns N' Roses. I'm still happy I got to see the show. But yeah, probably wasn't their best offering. And that happens to us all the time. So
one of our listeners, and he's also a big fan of yours, he wanted me to ask you a question.
Well, before you ask this question, this is Bob and Doug, so I got veto power. Whose question is this?
It's Matt.
If Matt denounces Celtic Pride, if he says it's a shit movie like it is, then we can ask his question. Otherwise, fuck Matt.
Oh, man.
Just kidding, Matt. I love you, man.
That's what I say, dude. Like, he's one of 3 people that actually listen to the show. So
I know. I love Matt. He knows I love Matt.
He asked, what were the last 3 movies that scared you?
Sorry, Matt.
This is a good question. Okay, so I'm definitely more scareable now. Like I'm easier to scare now in my old age. It started 5 years ago that I was a little more susceptible to being frightened because I'm willing to go down I'll take that journey. Not a lot of stuff scares me. I love horror so much. I've never been scared by. People were scared of Freddy. It was ludicrous to me.
Me too.
What?
Yeah.
How could you ever be scared of this? But ghost movies do scare me. So I have to say,
paranormal shit?
Paranormal Activity 1 really did scare me. I was alone in a room and was too afraid to get up and shut it off. And I was just really, truly frightened. And then I talked about this on Twitter, so I don't want to rehash old stuff. But right after my mom died, it's fucked up, but I was in the middle of doing the whole Paranormal Activity run through. Each night I'd do, I was on part 4. My mom dies. And I don't know, I get out of the shower the night she died, and I reached. It's stupid, but I think you do these things when somebody dies. I don't know why. I reached my hand out. I'm all crying and shit. And I asked my mom to hold my hand. I said, "If this is real," because I generally, I think I probably kind of do believe in ghosts, but I don't know. I mean, what if, dude? What if I felt clear as day somebody grabbed my hand? It would change my life. So I went for it. Nothing happened, but I held my hand out for a solid, like 2 minutes till my arm was like tired, and nothing happened. The next day, there was this handprint on my bed, which is really wild. Now it's become 2 handprints, but it's a clear handprint.
Wow.
A clear handprint facing the other way, and I kept trying to make it happen. I kept trying, like, how is that there? And it's just, what I think it is I drink lemon water and the condensation comes out, and I think it's bleached it. But at the time, I was like, oh, shit, what have I invited in?
No kidding, right? Fuck that.
Dude, it scared the fuck out of me because I really had this sinking feeling. Because my brother is also way into horror movies, into movies in general. He's an artist, and he watched Paranormal Activity, and he told me, he's like, you know what, dude? I think I'm good on movies like that. Something to be said for what you're inviting in when fear. And I don't know what's real, but it could serve as like a lighthouse or a beacon to something not of this world, right? I already have sleep paralysis and have all kinds of fucked up shit happen to me. So him and his friends watched Paranormal Activity. His friend Steve and Michelle, him and his wife. They watched it together. Whatever. They didn't think much of it. Steve and Michelle go home, and they call my brother. And they're like, dude, there's 2 pictures in our house that have hung here for 10 years. Undisturbed, never, ever fell. They've both fallen. They're on 2 separate walls. They've both fallen. And as my brother's on the phone, he's like, whoa, that is really weird. A picture that's hung at my brother's house for 5 years falls down. And he just got freaked out. Like, I tell the story right now, my hair stands up.
Yeah, no shit.
My brother carries like a lot of weight with me. I wouldn't be the person that I am if Joey wasn't my brother. I've learned so much of what makes me good is come from having Joey as a brother. I'm a musician because Joey's my brother. Most of the good things I am is because Joey's my brother. So when he tells me that story, my brother is never full of shit, ever. And he was like, I'm going to take a break from those movies. I just don't know what I'm inviting in. And like, you know, I'm not overly religious. I don't know if ghosts are real, but like, enough people do believe that stuff that like, I don't want to be throwing up a beacon. That lasted about 3 weeks, mind you. Then I went in and did a whole other horror series, and it was good. Yeah. But that scared the shit out of me, dude. And I was like, that don't feel like my mom. I don't know what. It's really scared me, but I think it's lemon juice. I hope it's lemon juice. I still don't know what the fuck it is, man. I tried everything. I squirted it with bleach. Didn't do anything. Nothing made that happen. But now, even, you know, I stopped. I was checking it every day for a month. I took my hand and put it in lemon juice and did it everywhere. Nothing. I think just over time, the lemon juice and the sun coming in, I think. That might sound like a bit of a stretch, but yeah.
Hey, man. I'll believe it just because I want to believe it, because I don't want it to be something else.
Yeah. Dude, it felt scary, though. Like, it didn't feel like my mom. It felt like something else to me. But I was also, like, those movies were effective, dude. Paranormal Activity was an effective movie. It scared
I have yet to see it. It's on my list. It's on my list.
And see, to me, the last movie that truly scared the shit out of me, like him, was that movie Sinister with Ethan. I think it was Ethan Hawke.
I love that fucking movie.
I've seen that movie one time in my life. I saw it in the daytime in my living room with the shades closed, and that movie terrified me so much that I will, like, in the daytime it scared the fuck out of me. It's funny, you look behind me and it's like I've had this shit for years, and it's stuff that I love, and it's stuff I'll never part. Much like your collection, I'm sure, but a lot like you. I don't watch horror movies anymore for a few reasons. One, like, I don't really see a lot of good ones being made, and if they are, they're like indie, few and far in between. But for the most part, like, I would rather just laugh and enjoy myself instead of trying to fear myself all the time. Like, I've had my fill of that shit. I'm good, man.
Yeah, Doug, I'm kind of in the same boat. Now, I will always check for a good horror movie. Like, if there's one out, people are talking about it, I'm in. I watch it. But, like, I like movies. I'm not just a horror guy. Like, I like all movies. And let's put it this way. My wife is gone for the week. I shan't be watching Sinister tonight. No fucking way. I'll scare the shit out of myself. Like I'm susceptible to being scared. Like I used to not be, dude. I used to not be, I don't know, able to be afraid. Like Evil Dead 1 kind of scared me, but like just the whole like, you know, childlike, you know, just like it kind of scared me. The other movie in my life that truly scared me was Pet Sematary, the first one.
Fuck
like,
yeah, dude! Zelda is terrifying in that movie.
Zelda was terrifying, but
yeah, it was ill.
What terrified me, and it having a kid still, it terrifies me. Like Gage, when a little kid tells you they're gonna kill you and they don't understand the ramifications of what they're saying, that's terrifying to me.
I'm gonna play with you now, mommy.
Yeah, like fuck you, kid. Like in the Mouth of Madness, when that little girl's like, "It's mommy's day, and today you're my mommy," and she looks up and half her jaw's ripped off and shit. I was like, "Nope,
yeah,
I'm out." That's
God, I haven't
it.
seen that in ages. Dude.
Love
oh
that fucking movie.
Yeah, I've always liked it. That it always reminds me of like From Beyond, even though they don't nothing to do with like around that time. I would rent a lot of those movies.
Event Horizon.
Event Horizon is pretty scary. I mean, there's movies that like tickle the fright. The Conjuring, the first one, tickled the fright bone. Like that scared me. I went to see it in the movies like 6 times.
Well-made film, very well-made film.
The new Conjuring, I was not a fan of.
Oh, it's brutal, dude. Fucking brutal.
Hey,
what did they do?
Yeah, it was bad. And I see, like Josh is always talking about whenever somebody talks up a horror movie, and I remember blowing him up on Facebook and text and Twitter. I'm like, watch The Ritual, watch The Ritual, watch The Ritual. He's like, fine. You fucking people keep telling me to watch The Ritual. Jesus Christ.
That shit was awesome, though.
I fucking love that movie.
That was an incredible. So I watched that. We were making Vaxxus 1 when I watched it. I watched it at the house we were staying at. I made Claude and Travis watch it the next night, and everybody agreed. That was fucking awesome. That was a good move. Dude, movies that are good have to, and this is kind of one of my beefs with the original Conjuring. Like, what? It can go one of two ways when they start really showing you everything. The Ritual, it just got better and better, and it's like, whoa, dude, the skeletons, the chanting, what? It was fucking ill. My one beef with the Conjuring is when she's possessed, and and I get it, you got to tie it up in a nice bow, but it just went like, to me, like, I don't know, like third-rate Exorcist in a way when she's like, you know, but I guess, God, if I was sitting in those meetings, like, what do we do here to wrap this up? I don't know if I could have had a better idea. So that's like my one beef with The Conjuring. But the other reason I bring it up is I think that The Ritual, as the ante gets upped and you learn more and more and more, it just got better and better and better. And I thought the imagery really knocked it out of the park. Not just the big tree monster, but like the bones upstairs that are like that chanting shit was so cool. Oh man, I might watch that tonight. That's
such a good movie.
I'll end up watching fucking Talladega Nights or something.
Still a great movie, man.
It is a great movie.
Isn't it funny how much, like, even watching a movie from just like 8 years ago, you realize how much the world has changed. Like in The Hangover, when Bradley Cooper's character pulls up, the first thing he says is, "Paging doctor."
I know exactly what you're going to say.
It's like, now I'm not like, I'm like, oh my God, what? They just said that? And I'm like, God, this movie's not that old to me, but I guess it is. Like, you know, culture moves fast. Look at Woodstock. 94 and 99, not that big of a difference. World of difference in just that 5 years. So things move fast, and like, you know, I'm all for progress. Somebody said to me, progress is glacial, but, you know, it sure feels like it could be moving fast. I think a lot of creators have this kind of not exactly sure what to make about like listen, not saying the word we're adults here. I'm just not saying that word is a good thing. I don't need to say it. I've said that word in the past. I'm totally willing to not say it. I think that's a good thing. But it is odd when you watch these movies that you love and they're heralded and they say it a bunch of times. You're like, geez, it feels weird now. It's like, oh my God. I look at that as a good thing. But God, it's a real eye-opener for some guys that aren't 21, how fast the world can change.
Right.
The world has changed fast. I hope it's progress. I think it is.
Well, look at we were talking about like I'll give you 2 examples. Like one, American Pie. We were talking about another podcast about a certain film that I unearthed, and we were talking about that scene in the first American Pie. Shut up, Bob. We were talking about that scene in the first.
Hold on, stop. He hasn't heard it. So, the film he unearthed was his virginity being lost. Continue, Doug.
It's not.
Oh, nice. Wait, you have that on film?
I don't anymore. I've deleted everything.
Wait a second. You filmed yourself losing your virginity like the first time, and you filmed it?
I don't have the actual act. I had fellatio. Basically, I had a friend of mine. I was working. Oh, God damn it, Bob.
Fellatio? What is fellatio? Isn't that a dessert at an Italian restaurant? What is fellatio?
A bee gibbers, man.
A bee gibbers. How do you end up filming your first time? Like,
this is the best part of the story.
I was working at a movie theater. I was 21. A guy I went to high school with who was just out of his mind fucking crazy, like in all aspects of life, drugs, music, lifestyle, was working at the movie theater as an usher. I was a projectionist. He was dating a girl behind the concession stand who was cute. And he kept bringing her upstairs while I was building movies and telling me, like, she really likes you, man. And I'm like, she's your girlfriend, dude. He's like, yeah, but she, like, told me, like she really wants to, like, be double-teamed by us. And I'm like, I'm 21. I'm terrified of the thought of with one girl, let alone my friend. Yeah. And well, over time, I was working at a radio station part-time as well. And my on-air handle that they monikered me with was Virgin Boy since I was like 19 working at that station. And every remote I did, I did stupid shit that humiliated me. And I think I got tired of that, and I decided to take him up on the offer one night. And so basically, he got done having. God, why am I telling this story? He got done having.
Great. This is great.
He got done having sex with her while she blew me, and he kept looking at me periodically, like, "Dude, can I suck your dick? I don't want to be weird." And I'm like, "No, it's not happening." Like, it was just a really bizarre way to lose your virginity. Very fucking bizarre.
He was into dudes too.
Like, I think the heat of the moment. I think he was into the heat of the moment of just like, we're all here, it's all love, fuck it, And
I don't know, man. I've done a few threesomes in my life as a young man, and I never offered to suck the guy's dick, but. I don't know, to each their own. I would assume that means he's somewhat into dudes, which is fine, but maybe that's why he was pushing for this so much, because he viewed it as his opportunity to get that. I mean, you are irresistible. Just looking at you over the screen, I can see that. I mean,
20 years, it didn't even cross my mind that that's what he might have been thinking about.
That's clearly what happened. That's
right. That's what I took from that story.
Of course. I've always in thinking about this story, I was like, well, I was always very flattered, but I was just more in the moment, like, I'm trying to maintain being hard as it is, dude. You're throwing me off my rhythm.
God, I'd have been so nervous. Like, I realize now, like, if I was to, like, ever get divorced, I think I'd just die alone. I've never, like, hooked up with a girl sober in my life. Like, I just don't have that ability. Like, drunk on drugs, great at it. No problem. Lots of ladies. Sober me, terrified, sweaty hands, just like nervous. Like, thank God I'm married. Thank God I'm married.
Me and my wife will have been married for 7 years this year. We've known each other since we were 15, and I've said this a million times on the podcast. If she were to walk in right now and be like, "I'm done with you," that would be it for me in dating. I just wouldn't care anymore.
Yeah, we could just get a place together. It's fucking die alone. Yeah,
I'm good. I'm done.
Yeah, I'm just, girls make me nervous, and they always did. That's why, even before drugs. Dude, one time, this girl that I was already dating, my friend comes home, we're like, 17, he's like, bro, Crystal's on her way over. I just chugged a 40 real quick, because I couldn't possibly talk to a girl sober. What are you, nuts? Because I'm weaning, and I'm nervous, and I think, a lot of people call bullshit on this, but I promise you, I've never ever hooked up with a girl sober in my life. Like, I just don't. It makes me too scared and nervous, and like, God, could you imagine like venturing into the dating world now? Like, oh my God, I wouldn't even know where to start or what to do. Sometimes I used to think like, man, we missed out on how easy it is with Tinder and stuff. But like, one rejection and that's it. I'm
I'm done.
Like one rejection. Oh God, she didn't swipe right. I don't know which way you swipe. If you like
I don't
like, it would break my heart. Like, but no, I feel really lucky. I'm actually surrounded by a lot of divorce lately. There's been a lot of like people we know getting divorced, and it makes me really feel like so lucky that me and my wife just had our 7-year anniversary. We've been together for 12 or 13 years. It's been a long time, and just you know, she's so ingrained in my life. Our relationship is not perfect. It ebbs and flows like all relationships. Get bickering sometimes, but I do feel like awfully lucky to have Tammy in my life. You know, I could not imagine my life without not just Tammy, but Maggie and my dog. Like, this is my life, and like, that's the last thing that scared me, is imagining life without them. Not to bring it full circle,
right?
But for real, like you know, right now. I was looking forward to this because I'm fucking lonely, you guys. I'm sitting in my house all alone, and I've realized I've never been home alone. I'm alone on the road. I've never been in our home alone, and it gives me an understanding of what she has to go through when I leave our home, and it is a different thing to be in our home, and she's just not here. And oh my God, I miss her to the point like it hurts my stomach. Like, it's been 3 days, and I'm like a mess. I can't wait for her to get home.
I see you're on your grind and you into fitness like you're one of a kind. I just can't predict it. Got a burning desire for fire, burning bridges. Everybody got a podcast. Everybody is a critic, but nobody will admit it. Everybody going live now. Everybody want it right now. Click the link up in the bio. Delete, block, mute, unfriend. Delete, block, mute, unfriend. I don't wanna see it. I don't wanna see it. I don't.